live on the air. I'm Richard Saile.
This is wild.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Lounge Time. I'm your host, Rich Saile, and today we finally pick the divisional round matchups. 4 good games this weekend, all really tough to call. Trying to think of some interesting opening slogans for usually when we get to the later round of the playoffs, because we were down to 14 teams, now we're down to 8. And then next weekend, we'll be down to 4. And then 2 weeks from then, we'll be down to the final 2 with a champion. So, we have a lot to get into today. I promise this one will be short because we're only picking 4 games. And if you guys are wondering, do I have crazy stats of the teams during the season? I will pull them up for you while we preview them as well. But I'm trying not to make this episode too long because we're down to really picking 4 games. And by the way, we will pick the national championship, because that'll be on Monday. Or do you guys think we should wait till Monday's episode to pick it? Because I might do a special episode following the national championship, or do we save that for later in next week? You guys can let me know in the comments what you guys want to do as well with that. But without further ado, we have a lot of injury news to update on. So let's get started picking the games. It starts tomorrow at 4:30, where the Buffalo Bills, coming off a road win over Jacksonville, travel now all the way to Mile High to take on the Denver Broncos, the AFC's number 1 seed. Now, last year these two teams met. This was the 7-2 matchup in Buffalo last year. This was Bo Nix's first playoff game at the time, and the Bills handled them convincingly. Now, Denver has the home field advantage. They are the number 1 seed. Buffalo is now the 6th. So, how do I think this game is going to play out? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. I want to make sure, though, I have the regular season, because as I'm pulling up the stats, I am getting the postseason, which I don't want. So let's go right into it. So, how do I see Bills-Broncos playing out? The Bills have a lot of injuries now that are starting to catch up with them. 2 receivers are gone. Gabe Davis is gone. Tyrell Shaver's done for the season. So they're really down to Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, and I had it earlier in the week. Give me a second. Jeopardy music is playing in my head right now. Brandon Cooks. So they're really down to 3 healthy receivers, which against this defense is actually more of an advantage for Denver, because now they can match up a nickel. And the question is, are your secondary better than their receivers? Yes, they are. Is their linebacking core better than their tight ends? Yes, to a degree. The key will be Buffalo's number 1 rushing attack against Denver's top defense, which, by the way, I'm going to pull the numbers up now. Denver is top in the league in sacks. So they were number 1 in sacks this season, number 2 in total defense. I want to make sure this updates for me. Number 2 in pass defense. And let me get the rush defense stats, because I didn't do this for Seattle either, which I'm going to do because it's fair. So top 2 in both total, run defense, pass defense, and let's see, scoring. This is big 2. 3rd in scoring defense. So this will be the biggest game that Josh Allen will be playing in, because without two receivers. They're really down to 3 healthy wideouts. Going on the road in Mile High, a tough place to play. The AFC's number 1 seed. To me, the X factor in this game for Buffalo is James Cook. We know this. If he gets going, it's a problem. Because if he gets going, then they could run with Allen. Then they could set up those 3 receivers. They could set up Dalton Kincaid or Dawson Knox. They can set up Johnson. However, Buffalo is going to get cornerback Maxwell Harrison and defensive tackle Ed Oliver back. That's key for their defense, which, by the way, was number 1 against the pass this year, from what I remember filling out the numbers. So this game, I think, could be a low-scoring matchup. Now, I heard the weather's supposed to be nice in Denver, which doesn't feel like it'll be low-scoring when I hear that. All right? So here's the line. The Broncos are favored by 1.5 points. That's the spread. Over and under is listed at 45.5 points. So they think it's going to be along the lines of 24-22 Denver. Okay. That's a lot of points for Denver's offense that, to me, has not looked really that impressive the last couple of weeks. And honestly, I told you guys for the last month and a half, I don't trust Bo Nix in that offense. I don't. So when I look at this matchup, to me, Josh Allen's going to have his hands full of that defense. Oddly enough, I don't worry about the Denver defense or Josh Allen in this matchup. I worry about Bo Nix more so against the Buffalo defense, because if the Broncos have a situation where they're going to have to trust Bo Nix to make some throws, especially now in meaningful games right now, when it comes time, in the regular season he's delivered. Postseason, it's a whole different ballgame. I don't trust Bo Nix to be able to win this game, making critical throws in the playoffs, especially against the Bills, who, granted, they have been mostly eliminated due to Patrick Mahomes. Well, he's no longer in the field. He didn't even make the field. Now, they got a road win, so they got to taste that. But now they got to go all the way cross country to Denver, win against a very tough place to play, and they got to go do it against a really, really good defense. Better than Jacksonville's defense. So, I think it's going to be tough for Buffalo to kind of stop Denver if RJ Harvey gets going. So to me, the X factor in this game is which of the running backs gets going. We know James Cook can catch fire. Can RJ Harvey get going? If RJ Harvey gets going for Denver, and Bo Nix doesn't have to make throws that he doesn't have to clutch up like he did in the regular season, that is a good recipe for Denver to win. Bo Nix just has to be game manager. I've been saying it for a month and a half, 2 months on this show. As long as Bo Nix manages the game, doesn't muck it up, Denver's defense continues to play at least with a lead, can get pressure on Josh Allen, create some takeaways, Denver's in a good spot. Now, here's where my concern is for both teams I can give you. Buffalo's run defense has not been great. We also know at this time of the year, Sean McDermott's defense somehow begins to unravel. And it kind of had its leaky moments against Jacksonville. I don't know why Liam Cohen didn't choose to keep running the ball early, and they forced Trevor to kind of make some throws. But I think Sean Payton is a better play caller than Liam Cohen is. So I think in this game, to me, it's going to come down to which play caller is able to trust their guys the most in key situations. What do I mean by that? Does Sean McDermott trust a not-so-good secondary that's banged up as well? Guys that are old on that side of the ball, Tre'Davious White, Jordan Poyer. Okay, Maxwell Harrison's banged up. Does he trust his defense with Maxwell Harrison? Does he trust Ed Oliver coming back off injury in the middle? Milano's getting up there in age. Joey Bosa's getting up there in age. Injury prone throughout his career. Does he trust his veteran defense to make a play? Or does Sean Payton trust Bo Nix to go make a couple throws in this game that he has to make to go win a game at home against a really tough defense against the pass. And can RJ Harvey be the guy that gets about 20, let's say 25 carries? I can definitely think he can get to 20 if Sean Payton sticks with the run. It's very interesting to see how he approaches this game because I think, to me, Sean Payton's going to have to rely on RJ Harvey to win the game. He's going to have to. Will he? I don't know. All right? I think if Denver is to win the game, you have to let Bo Nix be a game manager. You have to let RJ Harvey be the guy that gets about 20 to 25 carries. Although, he's not really a guy that gets 25 carries. So 20 carries and then maybe like 5 to 10 touches out of the backfield. Okay? Because I think that's the key. Because Dobbins is banged up, they're going to need to get some production out of the backs. Because Buffalo's weakness is their run defense. Now, Trevor Lawrence and them, they were able to score on Buffalo's pass defense at times. They were. So it's not like their pass defense is like the most insane defense ever. No. But to me, there's got to be a balance with Denver. If Denver gets that balance, Buffalo's in trouble. Now, Buffalo, what's their key to win? Well, Josh Allen is the most unstoppable weapon in the NFL. You can't literally stop him. And I try to say that sarcastically. I can't say it sarcastically because I have yet to see a single team stop him, and yet the dude has not had a bad playoff game in 3 years. No, I'm not joking. He has not had a bad playoff game in 3 years. So I've yet to see a team stop him. Now, to me, their key is, does Joe Brady, how does he limit everything that's against this offense right now with the 3 receivers healthy, the 2 tight ends they've got? Ty Johnson's supposedly banged up. He's supposed to be a returner at times too. He sometimes comes in as a backup running back to give James Cook a couple of plays off. So that's, to me, the key. Can Denver's pass rush win up front? Or does Buffalo's offensive line just completely manhandle them in the running game? If Buffalo's offensive line is able to handle them the way they do in the running game, it's going to be a long night for that defense as far as trying to get stops. Vance Joseph is a really good coordinator. So my keys to this game, and I promise we're going to be quick. For Buffalo, it's going to be, can all of their deficiencies, who steps up with the 2 receivers now out, Shavers and Gabe Davis? So out of everybody healthy, who is going to help win their matchup? Is it going to be a Khalil Shakir who had 12 catches against Jacksonville? Is it going to be James Cook? Is it going to be Brandon Cooks? Is it going to be Dalton Kincaid? Who is it going to be? Because honestly, Keon Coleman had a couple plays against Jacksonville. Who's going to have the matchup advantage that Joe Brady and Josh Allen like? Or is Josh Allen going to be the most unstoppable force in the league and take over, which we know he is capable of doing? I have seen him ruin my team's season back-to-back years. Trust me, he's capable of this. And is Buffalo going to have moments where they can trust their veteran defense to make a stop? I don't know if they are. For Denver, RJ Harvey is your X factor. 20 to 30 touches in this game. 20 carries, 10 touches out of the backfield. Their offensive line, are they going to be able to win in the running game? Specifically the running game, because that's Buffalo's deficiency on defense. That is the biggest key for me. And to me, are they going to get enough pressure without sending 5, 6, 7 guys at Josh Allen? Can they win with 4 guys up front? That is the key to this game. I nailed a bunch of them, which means it's time to make a pick. Everybody knows now I'm a New England fan. I would love a home AFC Championship game in Foxborough. I would. But you know what that would require to do. However, we are undefeated on the road this year. And I know what is coming. Meaning, I know a gut feeling tells me who I know is going to win, and it's making me uncomfortable picking this opponent. But there is a difference between who I'm rooting for versus what I think. And I'm going to pick with what I think. I think Buffalo beats Denver. I told you guys for a month and a half, I do not trust the Broncos offense. I do trust their defense. However, it's a little easy for them when they kind of looked okay against a third stringer in Kansas City. They looked okay against Trey Lance. Like, they did their thing. My worry is the fucking Broncos offense. And I know that Sean Payton had a bye. I'm sure that he should be able to kind of solve whatever's going on. I don't know if 1 week's able to do this with this offense. And I think, honestly, my gut says to me, the Broncos offense just isn't very good. I don't trust them. Give me the Bills painfully. And you ready for this? I am going with a score of 23-20. Buffalo wins in Mile High, and they will go to either Houston or New England. However, I am leaving this game with this. I am going to be the biggest Broncos fan tomorrow afternoon because I do not want that man to ruin my team if it gets to a point where it is New England hosting the AFC Championship. I have seen him do it twice in a row. I don't want it to happen a third time. It would absolutely make me very unhappy again. It would make me so miserable if it happened. But non-biasedly, I'm going with what I feel was going to happen. I'm going with the Bills to win 23-20. I will be rooting for Denver, though. So, again, I might be contradicting myself a little bit, but I don't care. I told you guys who I root for is different than who I think is actually going to win the game. I'm rooting for Denver, but I'm going with the Bills to win. The night game on Saturday, 8:15, the 49ers, the 6th seed in the NFC, travel to Seattle to take on the Seahawks, where the Seahawks are 7-point favorites at home. The over and under is at 45.5 points. So, I'm staying on defense because I want to give Seattle's numbers off. They are number 6 in total defense. Feels low, I'm surprised. They are top 10 against the pass. Feels like they're higher. 3rd against the run. And number 1 scoring defense in the league. So top 10 category across the board. Now, we have seen these teams meet in the bookend matchups of the regular season. We saw them start the season in Seattle, the Niners, with a 1-point win. That was a different Seattle team. But Seattle made it very tough for San Francisco to win on the road week 1. We also saw them meet up 2 weeks ago in Santa Clara, site of the Super Bowl this year, where Seattle had probably the best defense against a Kyle Shanahan offense I have seen ever in my life since he's been with the 49ers. And that goes back to even better than Spagnuolo's games or even the Eagles, the one time that they made them look bad with a 4th-string quarterback. That is what Mike McDonald did to them 2 weeks ago was the best performance I have seen against a Kyle Shanahan offense from an opposing defense that I've ever seen in my life. Now, what are the keys to the Niners winning 2 out of 3 in this series? Well, George Kittle's out. That's number 1. Not as a key, but that's the biggest injury. And Fred Warner's not coming back. So 2 guys. Well, Kittle's done for the year. I mean, he got carted off. Hope he gets better because he is an awesome player to watch. Sucks what happened to him. It is going to be monumentally tough for the Niners to win without George Kittle. And really, it's CMC, Jawan Jennings, or bust at this point. I mean, Demarcus Robinson had a really strong performance against the Eagles, but again, can you bank on him doing it 2 weeks in a row? I cannot bank on him doing that 2 weeks in a row. So, what are the keys, Rich? Well, Kyle Shanahan loves to run the football. What did Seattle do well the last time these two teams met 2 weeks ago? Seattle held them to a very low rushing total. I believe it was 29 yards that McCaffrey had against Seattle the last time that they met. Not the first time, the last time. So they're going to have to rush for more than 29 yards with Christian McCaffrey. To me, the key is going to be, can that offensive line be able to open up holes for Christian McCaffrey in the running game? And that's big if Trent Williams is going to play. And I'm going to look right now for you guys because I want to make sure, number 1, I have all the injuries updates for you guys that you need to know, and I'm going to make sure that I have this as well. I want to make sure I have it for you guys because That way you guys have all the information needed for these matchups for the moment. All right, let's see. I don't see Trent Williams on the injury report. So, that is a good sign for the Niners that Trent Williams, their best offensive lineman, will play. So, he was hurt 2 weeks ago against Seattle. So, how do I think the Niners pull off an upset? Well, you got to try to run the ball for more than 29 yards with Christian McCaffrey. That is the number one goal. Number two, and I'm going to say this with another game because I think this is kind of the theme for for 3 of the 4 games because of the good offenses going up against a really good defense. And I'm sure offensive coordinators think the same way, similar to what I think. Same with quarterbacks who have played this game. I think they're going to have to win early downs because I think that, to me, if the Niners can get Purdy into second and short, third and short, mainly winning by first and second down, that is going to put Mike McDonald in some situations where he's going to have to get a little more aggressive on defense. And to me, I think that is where I look at Shanahan and I think, well, we know he's going to try to run the ball. We know he's going to try to get one safety to kind of move into the box and then take his shots with the play action, which he got a little bit early in the game with Demarcus Robinson against Philly when Philly tried to take away the run a little bit, and Demarcus Robinson had a big play. Now, the other key would be, with Kittle out, Ayuk basically quitting on them. And it's now Juwan Jennings and Christian McCaffrey, and then a bunch of guys off the streets or guys off the stands, as some other people would joke. But Demarcus Robinson stepped up for them last game against a really good Eagles secondary with 2 All-Pros, by the way. Who is going to have matchups that they like? Who's going to have the hot hand in this game? Is it going to be Demarcus Robinson again? Is it going to be a situation where Ricky Pearsall may have a matchup? And let me make sure he's good because he's questionable. So if Pearsall plays, is he going to get the matchup? And I got to look at the receivers because it just finds it hard for me to believe that, again, Kendrick Bourne. Is Sky Moore going to be helped? Is Sky Moore going to have a matchup? Like, the Niners are so thin at receiver. The more I keep talking about this matchup, the more I'm going, well, who's going to have the matchup advantage against a really good Seattle defense? Top 10 in a lot of categories. And to me, I think that's where Shanahan's got to draw up plays for guys that he can call on and trust. Who is that guy Kyle Shanahan's going to trust? Last week it was Demarcus Robinson against the Eagles. Because they're going to try to give CMC a little bit of a breather and not have him get a ton of touches where he just completely is like, I don't know if you guys play college football 26, some of you guys. You don't want CMC in that wear and tear where it's severe and then like he gets hurt and then it just, the whole engine like goes, the whole engine just shuts down. That's basically what the Niners are down to. So they're down to guys that they don't think will produce a lot, but somebody's got to do it. Now, on defense. Well, we know the one kryptonite of Sam Darnold in his career is if they can get pass rush on Seattle. Meaning, can they get pass rush on Darnold, who is banged up in this game, right? And they have some good edge rushers. They have some guys in the middle that have made plays for them. To me, it's going to come down to the guys of Keon White, Yetur Gross-Matos, and Bryce Huff. Are they going to have a one-on-one where they're going to win? Bryce Huff was a hot commodity from the Jets. Then he went to Philly, and I don't know what happened. Now he's with San Francisco. Keon White was a guy on New England that had one good game, and then he hasn't quite panned out a little bit. He had a nice play against the Eagles, I will say. Gross-Matos was not bad in Carolina, but again, obviously when they move on from you, they feel like they have some other guys that they trust. Who is going to be the guy for the Niners that can get after Sam Darnold? Because to me, the number one kryptonite with Sam Darnold has been pressure. When he is pressured, he sucks in big games. This is his first real game in Seattle where, again, he won the division 2 weeks ago. It was a big pressure game. Well, now this is postseason home game for you. Because last year you were on the road, technically in a neutral site in Arizona, where you looked atrociously horrible. And the Niners, the only way they win this game to me is you got to run the ball with Christian McCaffrey, even when it doesn't feel like you can run the ball in this matchup. You've got to find your guys that you can get matchups with and see. And to me, can you blitz Sam Darnold? And if you do mix it up with some four-man rushes, who is going to be the guy that steps up? I don't know who that's going to be, and it's very hard for me to figure that out. But Kyle Shanahan, to me, he's one of these coaches where it's very hard to bet against. So I gave you guys the spread and the over and under, right? So Seattle is favored by 7. The over and under is at 45.5. Now, what's the key for Seattle to win? Well, the key for Seattle to win for me is you have a good defense in San Francisco that might not prove it by the numbers wise, but they won last week with Philadelphia, having the Eagles settle for field goals instead of touchdowns because the Eagles have trouble scoring, right? Seattle, to me, the key is going to be, can they run with the two backs between Walker and Charbonnet well, because the Eagles, Barkley ran pretty damn good against a banged-up Niners defense. And to me, it's going to come down to, with an injury-prone team, can you still find guys like Jackson Smith and Jigba, Rashid Shaheed, Cooper Kupp? Can you find those guys in some favorable coverages? Where can Cooper Kupp still separate from man coverage? Can you maybe take a shot with Rashid Shaheed against a single high defense? For those of you that don't know, cover 3 or cover 1. Okay? Maybe even against an all-out blitz look. Can you get Shaheed going on there with no safeties in the middle of the field? To me, that's where I think they're going to have to figure it out. Because Seattle, number one, protect Darnold. If the Niners are able to get pressure without two of their top edge rushers and really just down to guys that are good players, if they're able to get pressure with those 3 edge rushers and Seattle's offensive line has trouble blocking them, that's a bad sign. So Seattle, number one, protect Sam Darnold. Number 2, can those two backs be able to get Seattle to move the ball and sustain long drives? Because to me, if Seattle gets the two backs going where they get about 35 to 40 carries between the both of them, that's a good sign for them. And I think that when you mix it up with Jackson Smith and Jigba, when you mix it up with Cooper Kupp and Rashid Shaheed, I think that bodes well for Seattle because the Niners defense then is put in a very difficult situation. And to me, I think Seattle, protect Arnold, get the backs where they can get some success in the running game, and then find your coverages where those 3 receivers excel. Because you want to make sure you put Sam Darnold in a comfortable position, which is where he has reads open, he has guys that he knows against certain matchups he can win. And that's the key. Now, defensively, you got to start the game with a takeaway. You got to start the game with Purdy turning the ball over. You got to start the game getting him uncomfortable because Trent Williams banged up. That offensive line, again, they're going to try to get the run. If you can stop the run and then get Purdy into some tough situations where you're going to start having to mix in some blitzes, get some disguises in coverage. That, to me, is where Mike McDonald does a great job at disguising because you really don't know what he's in. He can disguise very well. Can they mix in the blitzes? Can they stop the run like they did 2 weeks ago? And they need an early takeaway. If they get an early takeaway or takeaways on Purdy early, I think they control the game. They have to jump out early, to me, and control it from there. Because I think if they play the long game, it still bodes well for them with that defense. But if that defense can't get early stops, they're in a little bit of trouble. Meaning early stops, 3 and outs, takeaways, forcing turnovers. That's really what they need to do. And I think that Seattle, their biggest key is protect Arnold, mix the backs in, don't give San Francisco a short field. Don't give San Francisco a short field, meaning Sam Darnold cannot turn the ball over. When he turns the ball over, he becomes the biggest liability among the quarterbacks on the field. He just does. And to me, it's going to come down to you got to be able to take away the run and force Brock Purdy in some uncomfortable situations. Which leads me to, who am I picking? as much as I raved about Kyle Shanahan being a top 25 all-time coach because of the big road playoff wins he's had and some of the big home playoff wins 2 years ago in the NFC Championship game, down 17 against the Lions, as much as I gave him his flowers, I don't see a way that the Niners win this game. I do think they hang within the 7. I really do. I know last time I picked the Niners against Seattle, I lost. I'm not saying the Niners are going to win the game. I think they can hang within the 7. I think it's a big number to lay. I am going with Seattle, but give me the Niners plus the points. I think that, to me, when they look at this game, Kyle's going to have a hard time moving the ball. And I think because Mike McDonald is looking at a game now where they had to go on the road, they had to go all the way from Philly back to San Francisco, and then kind of a shorter travel, but still travel up in the Pacific Northwest to Seattle. I think that, to me, I'm going with Seattle. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I am going to go, so it's 45.5, right? So we're looking at 46. So sort of 26-20 around there. I think it's going to be lower. I'm going 20-13. No. Hold on. I'm going lower, actually. 17-13 Seattle. I think Seattle is going to have success on offense. They'll score. But I think this Niners defense becomes exhausted to the point where they really can't hang around much. And I don't think Brock Purdy's going to be able to make the big throws that he made against Philadelphia and rebound off turnovers the way he did against the Eagles. I don't think he's going to have that against Seattle. Seattle 17-13 over the Niners. Another low-scoring game. Now, again, the Bills-Broncos I kind of picked under 2 as well. But let's go to Sunday's action, where the 5th seed Houston Texans, coming off a road win at Heinz Field, or Acrisure Stadium now. That's the way they named it in Pittsburgh now. So coming off a win at Steelers, now travel to Gillette Stadium to Foxborough to take on the number 2 seed New England Patriots. New England is 3-point favorites. The over and under is at 40.5 points. So 21-18 is what they're saying, roughly. Let me tell you something right now, guys. I did not feel good about a day or two after we beat the Chargers because I felt like Steelers do not have a chance. They don't. And I watched Houston, and I was like, I'm worried about our offensive line. And then I watched Monday night. And all of a sudden, I wasn't that worried. Because I watched closely. And I was like, 10 points through 3 quarters they put up against the Steelers defense that I don't think is all that great. And I looked at New England's defense against the Chargers, albeit down to second, third string tackles. I'm going, if they couldn't block the Steelers with TJ Watt and Highsmith, dang, they got to worry about Big Milton Williams and Christian Barmore. That's going to be a problem for Stroud because Stroud's a pocket quarterback. He's not like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. He's not. He's a pocket passer. I'm thinking, hold on. Zach Kerr cooked up some blitzes against Justin Herbert. He can find something against CJ Stroud. How do I think this game's going to go for Houston? Well, Woody Marks ran for over 100 yards against the Steelers on Monday night. And I think they're going to try to run the ball on us, knowing that our run defense was shaky the last, we're going to say, 7 weeks? But then again, I remind people, Milton Williams was out for most of those games. Now he's back. I don't know if you're going to run the ball as well as you think with Big Milton now back there. But they're going to try to run the ball, Houston. I think they need to kind of figure out now with Nico Collins being out, and that's the biggest injury of the injury report for Houston. And they're going to have to find out if these young receivers are ready to win some one-on-ones, because New England has a very good trio of corners that I think are going to give them a little bit of problems with the inexperience of those receivers really playing much in the playoffs. And I think that the fact that if they can't get the running game going and they can't protect C.J. Stroud, it's going to be a tough game for them, especially now with Nico Collins basically out. That's a big, big injury for them on offense because now it puts them in a situation where do they trust the young guys to win? Can they run the ball like they did with Marks on Monday night against the Steelers against New England? Where I say I don't think that's going to go well, okay? Because I think that Patriots run defense with Milton Williams back is better than people give them credit for. Now, defensively, we know they're big time. I respect D'Amico Ryans. I think he's done an awesome job with the rebuild. Okay? I think they are really, really damn good. This probably might be the best defense New England will face all season. Okay? Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson, those two dudes, and they are demons on the edge. They are demons on the edge. They are scary level good. Okay? To me, Houston wins if they contain Drake May, which has been a weakness for them, surprisingly, against mobile quarterbacks. Houston struggled. If they contain Drake May and they don't let him escape the pocket and play tight coverage with those receivers, which I have a feeling might happen, they win the game on defense. Because if they take away Drake May's legs and don't let him escape the pocket and they force him to make some really, really tight window throws, and they do get takeaways like they did the first start of Drake May's career last year, they're going to win the game. Now, to my New England Patriots. In Vrabel and May I trust. This is a very scary feeling for this matchup, but I'm going to remain confident. All right? And I know that I joke around and say that I have some people that do root against me. I alluded to one of them on Tuesday, whose name will remain anonymous. Let's just say we've had texts back and forth on it. And one of them happened to watch the game last Sunday, and he's like, you know what? You know we were playing, right? I'm like, yeah, I know. But we cleared that up. All right? Now, what do I think New England's key is? I've watched a lot of breakdowns from a lot of people. I think you got to win the early downs. You got to win on first down. You got to win on second. Because I think, to me, the way you slow down two explosive edge rushers, you got to run the ball really, really effective. And I'm saying this as a secret sauce here, okay? Make sure this doesn't get out to Texans fans. And if they are watching, damn it, I don't care. I think you got to mix in some 6 offensive line sets, which I've seen New England do from time to time this season. I think Josh McDaniels has to find a way to get the running game going early. Because I think the only way you slow down Anderson and Danielle Hunter is by running the ball, downhill attacking, and you force them to have to worry about the run. And then that's when you set up your play action. That's when you set up your passing plays where you can then diagnose what coverage they're in, and you can diagnose how long it's going to take Drake to get the ball out of his hands. And then if they play tight coverage, that's when you kind of scheme up, all right, well, how do we get it to where the middle of the field becomes open and there's no spy, and let him take off? So they got to win early downs. They got to run the football because, to me, I watched Pittsburgh. They had some good outside runs, and then Arthur Smith went away from it. But there is no way in hell that Josh McDaniels will be a plain bagel calling this game. I don't expect him to. I think he'll be more creative. Arthur Smith, plain bagel, dude, fucking no creativity on offense. Josh McDaniels will not be a plain bagel. He will be creative. Okay? There will be some, okay, this is a good play here. Okay? I think Josh McDaniels will put Drake May into better situations than Arthur Smith did with Aaron Rodgers. Okay? So I think that, to me, their biggest thing, run the football, mix in some 6-0 line sets. I think it worked. It worked. I think that's the one way you mitigate the speed of those two edge rushers. They have to protect Drake May because that offensive line struggled, but that's why I say the 6-0 line sets. Now, defensively, Christian Gonzalez is looking like he's going to play. He's questionable right now. He cleared concussion protocol today. Cross my fingers. Let's knock on wood, okay? Let's knock on wood. I'm trying not to do it too loud because of the camera. But knock on wood that he plays for Sunday because he is our best corner. And I think now, to me, the way I look at New England's defense, you have to pressure C.J. Stroud. You have to be very smart, though, because if you do it up the middle, you have to have a way where you don't let him pick apart the open read in the middle, okay? And that's where I think that, to me, if you're able to pressure up the middle without Stroud killing you in the open read in the middle, meaning is it going to be Dalton Schultz is going to have reads over the middle. Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins, they're more outside guys, but they can make plays over the middle, right? Marks maybe with some plays, right? To me, that's where if you can get pressure up the middle, with Stroud, he's more of a pocket passer. He doesn't like to roll outside too much. If you get pressure up the middle, Milton Williams, Christian Barmore, okay, mixing in blitzes with the middle backers, Jack Gibbons, Robert Spillane, if you can get pressure up the middle on Stroud, that's when they would have to allocate, and that's where Landry and Chason have some good matchups. And I love the signing that we got from the guy from Houston, and forgive me if I don't know his name. I'm going to pull it up for you guys because I don't want to be that kind of guy that just forgets names and stuff like that. So I'm sorry, but I'm going to get this right for you guys. Let me make sure I get the name real quick. And again, I think, to me, this is where they're going to have to win. So let me look real quick here. I don't think they updated it yet. I hope they did. Let's see. Wait. Here we go. I want to pull up the name because he had a couple sacks. Darrell Taylor. Okay, well, I wanted to make sure I got the name right. Darrell Taylor. He played on Houston, and now he's on our practice squad. I know why. I won't say. Let's say it's a little gamesmanship. But, again, I think that if they are able to pressure C.J. Stroud up the middle with Milton Williams, Barmore, and then mixing the middle backer blitzes with Spillane and Jack Gibbons, Stroud's going to be uncomfortable. And then they're going to have to help double team somebody in the middle. But then the problem is Landry and Chason, they're going to get one-on-ones. Those edge guys are going to have one-on-ones, and they're going to have to win them. Because if you make C.J. Stroud uncomfortable, which you can blitz him, I saw the Chiefs do it. I saw the Steelers do it. And again, you have to get turnovers. The turnover battle in this game is massive. I didn't even mention it. That's the number one factor in this game. Who is going to get the turnovers in this game? And that's the key. Who's going to win the turnover battle? We know Houston's defense is big time. Can New England's defense be big time and win the turnover battle? Who's going to get the takeaways? Who's going to make the big plays? That's what I want to know. As Mike Vrabel said, the big dogs come out in January. Well, who's going to make them? Okay? And that's what I want to see from this defense. I'm hoping Christian Gonzalez is going to play. It looks like he is, which is a good sign. Which means now this is time for me to make a pick in this game. Now, there's probably going to be jokes that, he's a New England fan, so this isn't a real pick. No, this is a real pick. Trolls aside, this is a real pick. This is what I'm going with. To me, the magic number is going to be, can New England get to 20 to 23 points? Which I think is reasonable. I think it's reasonable. It's going to be tough. It's going to be harder to get 20 to 23 against a really elite defense. But I think there's ways you can do it. And I think Josh McDaniels, to me, I trust more as a play caller than Arthur Smith was with the Steelers. I think Vrabel's got the defense playing really, really well. And to me, I like the way that we're complete as a team. I think we're getting healthy at the right time. I think this is a great sign for us. And I think, you know what? Damn it, I'm going to be happy for another weekend. All right? I'm taking the New England Patriots to win 23-16 against the Texans. I believe in Mike Vrabel and Drake May. In May and Vrabel, I trust. Okay? New England, stand up. New England, stand up. New England, stand up. Yeah, ride or die, baby. I'm sticking with them. All right? Now, I'm going to say this. I know it's going to be a tough game. All right? But it's beautiful what I'm watching. It's beautiful what I'm watching. All right? And I want this team to hear me out for 1 second. They've been a joy to watch this year. I'm proud of this team because I said beginning of the year, for the real OGs that know what I said about my own team and who have paid attention to Lounge Time, I said 10-7 and making the playoffs would be a successful season. They won a playoff game last week. This is so special. Did you see my Patriots? Did you see them? This is going to be a tough one because I'm aware of this matchup, but I'm going to remain confident, okay? But it doesn't end there. It doesn't end there. It does not end Sunday. It does not end with just a wild card win against the Chargers. They're going to win Sunday. I am confident with this team. I believe in what I'm seeing from my young quarterback. And you know what the other thing I didn't mention was? He didn't play well his first playoff game. He has another game to get better. I don't think he's going to play that bad again. As long as he takes care of the ball, we'll be fine. And I'm sure Josh McDaniels and Mike Vrabel have been preaching in his ear all week. Take care of the ball. Turnovers are going to be the deciding matchup in this game. And I am having faith in Super May to save the day, to get New England to the AFC Championship game, and host in Foxborough. Albeit it would pain me if it's against the Buffalo Bills, because then I know this man on the other side, and I'm not going to mention his name, but I'm taking New England 23-16. New England, stand up! New England, stand up! New England, stand up! We at least play another weekend. And I have faith in Vrabel in May. In May and Vrabel, I trust. To the last game of the divisional round weekend, where the LA Rams, off a road win against Carolina, they travel to Soldier Field to take on the Chicago Bears, where the Rams are 4.5-point favorites on the road. The over and under is at 48.5 points. This is going to be a fun offensive game if you love offense, because I think both of these guys are going to have a great offensive showing. I think it's going to be a fun battle to watch between the quarterbacks, Matthew Stafford and Caleb Williams. Let's quickly break down this between both of these teams, because I know I'm going on a little too long. The Rams, their offense is big time. They ran the ball okay with Williams and Corum. To me, though, the one weakness with them, cold weather. Now, you're probably like, Rich, well, didn't they win in Carolina? Wasn't that sort of cold? No, not cold like it's going to be in Chicago on Sunday night. Did you see what the weather forecast is supposed to be? It's supposed to be between 11 degrees and 18 degrees, and it's supposed to be a wind chill, I believe, of -9. Is that correct? Ooh, that's not boding well for the warm weather LA Rams. I know last year they went into Philly in the snow, and I know they had one drive that they were close to winning, and they got stopped because Jalen Carter made a big play. And the Bears don't have that on defense. I get it. However, Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford, the one kryptonite with them is cold weather. Chicago's used to this shit. The Bears are used to it. They practice in it. Ben Johnson's used to it. The Rams aren't. And to me, that ball is going to be hard as a rock if it's going to be that cold and -9 wind chill. Ooh, that's going to be tough. I mean, Matt Stafford, listen, It's a little nice when, you're throwing warm in the dome in practice and in warm weather, right? It's a little different when it's night, sun goes down, and that ball's hard as a rock. I'm just saying, it's going to be hard to do. To me, that secondary looked very shaky against an okay Panthers receiving core, a bottom half of the league. Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, Colson Loveland had a game against Green Bay. They got some matchups. Luther Burden. I think Ben Johnson's looking at their secondary going, yeah, they may be topping in the upper half in some categories, but that secondary did not look good against the Panthers. And I think the Rams defense has been kind of inkling downhill. And I think that Caleb Williams, the key with that kid is going to be, can he not force throws that go into turnovers? Because Chris Shula will mix in some disguised coverages. He will bring a little heat on Caleb Williams. To me, though, can he play disciplined enough within himself to win the game? We know that Chicago's going to try to run the ball, but the Rams are pretty good against the run. I think, to me, Caleb Williams, you are going to have to step up by taking care of the ball and letting your young running backs, which, to me, I know they didn't go off against Green Bay because they were behind and they had to throw. To me, though, I think it's going to come down to, can they get Caleb Williams into some favorable plays, even though the ball may be really, really difficult to throw? Can they get him into some favorable downs where he can take shots downfield? Because we know Caleb Williams' game, he can roll out. That throw he made on the left side, I mean, he can make some really awesome throws. Box office throws. But can he make the throws that stay within script, stay within the game plan, move the chains? That's what I want to see him do. And I think that, to me, the Bears offensively, that's the key against the secondary for the Rams, that I think is not looking too great lately. And if the Panthers receivers did okay with them, Chicago's receivers should have their way. And I think that, again, Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay, they're not used to practicing in the cold. They're not. And with the sun going down, I remember there's been some games. Look at Lambeau 5 years ago in Lambeau Field. They lost that game, okay? They are not a team that bodes well playing in cold weather. They're not, okay? And that's where I think that the Rams, that's their one weakness that's going to get put on full display. Now to the Bears. Well, their secondary, too, did not look great either. The Bears secondary let the Packers' 4 top wideouts have monster games. Not monster games, but very good games for them, right? So, to me, they're going to have a game plan for Puka and Devontae. I don't know what Dennis Allen's got planned, but to me, I think they're going to have to find a way to get after Matthew Stafford, which they've not been a good pressure team in sacks. They've been good at takeaways. Can they get early takeaways and pressure on Stafford? That's the key for the Bears defense. If they can get pressure leading to takeaways and giving their offense a favorable short field, that's going to put Matthew Stafford and the Rams behind. It's going to make him throw, and it's going to be hard to throw with how cold it's supposed to be in Chicago on Sunday night. But I also think that, again, they have to get pressure on Stafford up the middle. Because if you can get that pressure up the middle, Stafford's not going to feel comfortable all game. They have to mix in pressures. They have to make sure Puka and Devontae do not destroy their secondary. Pressure and early takeaways for Dennis Allen is going to be the key in this matchup. And I think offensively, they've got to try to get those backs going a little bit. And they also got to get Caleb Williams into some favorable throws. To me, I think if they can do that, that's where the Bears' success is. The Rams, they got to try to get the running game with Williams and Corum a little bit, because I think that Dennis Allen's looking at it going, well, if we get pressure on Stafford up the middle and we have to bring pressure up the middle, that's our way to stop Matthew Stafford. The Rams, they have to run the ball with those 2 backs. And then, to me, their secondary has got to play disciplined within the scheme, meaning do not let them hit big plays. Ben Johnson's whole offense is run, and then they're going to mix in a deep play, and then they scheme guys open. They have to play really, really sticky coverage within those receivers. So which leads me to a pick. Who am I going with, Rich? Well, number 1, my favorite bet of the weekend. Take the over 48.5. I love this bet. I think this is my favorite bet of the week. And I love the over. So, but in all seriousness, I just look at the Bears and I say, I don't know how they're stopping Puka and Devontae. And Matthew Stafford, I think he's made some big throws before. I don't trust him in cold weather, but I do trust them a little bit better than the Bears. Give me the LA Rams to beat the Chicago Bears. And this one's going to be the highest scoring game of the weekend, I would say. I am going with the Rams to win. And the Bears put up 31 on Green Bay's defense, right? So I think this game is going to fall in the lines of, I'm going to say 31-24, Rams beat the Bears in Chicago. Now, let's go over the guarantees for all 4 games. I am taking the over 48.5 in the Bears-Rams game. I'm taking San Francisco plus a 7. I would take the under 45.5 in Niners-Seattle. I would also, I don't like betting Buffalo. I wouldn't be mad if you take Buffalo plus 1.5. I wouldn't blame you. But I'm not going to bet Buffalo-Denver because it's a hard game to pick. So really, I got 3 plays I like, okay? So Niners plus 7. We're going to go under 45.5 in the Niners-Seattle game, and I'm going to go with over 48.5 in the Rams-Bears game. I'm going to go with that. I kind of want to take the Bears plus 4.5 with the points, but I don't know if I could go there just yet. But those are my 3 plays for NFL Divisional Playoff weekend. So what we're going to do is this. I'm going to make a quick pick on Indiana and Miami, okay? And I'm going to get the line for you and everything for those of you that are curious on totals and point spread. So Indiana is favored by 8.5 over Miami. The over-and-under is at 47.5. Now, I bet Indiana after Oregon to win it all. So I bet Indiana money line just to win the national championship. So I have Indiana money line in this game. No secret. I think the only reason you bet the over is if you think Indiana's going to blow out Miami and they are just going to meet the total. Okay? Which I wouldn't blame you for. So I'm going with Indiana, and you're thinking, Rich, what is your score going to be? Well, you know what I'm going to do? The way Indiana steamrolled both of these teams, I am saying it's going to be along the lines of, can't believe I'm saying this too. I think it's going to be, am I crazy to say, I mean, I don't want to predict a blowout, but I feel like it's going to be like a 45-10 game. I do. But I don't want to do that. So I am going to go, I want to see if it's close. You know what? Gut feeling. I think it's 45-10 Indiana. I think this is a blowout. The only way Miami wins is if those pass rushers, Akeem Mesidor, Ruben Bain Jr., can they win and get pressure on Mendoza? I think they have the duo to do it. And I think they're more physical than Oregon or Bama is. But I will say this. I don't know how you pressure Mendoza other than those 2 guys. I know Ahmad Moten's banged up. I think Carson Beck, to me, I don't trust him to score as well as he did against a not-so-good Ole Miss defense. Ohio State, he managed the game well. I don't know if he's going to be able to manage the game well with Indiana and their defense, okay? And I think that Miami trying to run with Mark Fletcher, I don't know if it's going to work with a really good Indiana defense that is going to take away something for Miami, and I think it's going to probably be Mark Fletcher Jr. So I think Indiana's going to take away him and say, Carson Beck, you beat us, make some throws. So I am going to go with 45-10 Indiana beats Miami, and we get the over. That's what we do. All right? I think it's going to be somewhere along those lines. Okay? I just don't see how Miami beats a well-oiled machine in Indiana. I just don't see it, guys. I really don't. All right, guys. So that is my college football playoff national championship pick between Indiana and Miami. And those are also my divisional round weekend matchups. Thank you so much for watching Lounge Time. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, because we're going to have more content for the playoffs. I'm trying to get a couple more guests for the second half of the playoffs into the Super Bowl. Trust me, we are not done. We are getting more content ready for you guys. And I promise we're going to try to get some more guests. If not, then I would let you guys down if that happens, but I promise we're going to have some guests in studio. You do not want to miss out on that. Hit that like button, subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you can get all the latest content on YouTube, and make sure you guys are following up till the end of the playoffs, till the Super Bowl. And you don't want to miss it too, because we got March Madness content also coming out. You can also follow us on Rumble. We have a couple followers on Rumble where I want to build that community up a little bit, grow that. And I want to try to build more than 4 followers. So we're building something on Rumble. Give me a follow on Rumble. Episodes will also be live on there as well. You can also follow me at LoungeTime Pod on X, where I do respond to tweets if you tweet at me, and I promise I will give you a couple of seconds on a question. Just make it something that at least I can answer. Where if it's about NFL, particular matchup you want me to highlight, I'll answer it, all right? But I will shout you out if you do tweet at me for a question for the show. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Lounge Time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will see you guys next Monday. Well, we'll see you guys on Monday, where we break down the divisional round matchups. And I will have a separate video for Indiana, Miami. But on Monday, we'll break down the divisional round matchups and preview the AFC and NFC championship games. Until then, enjoy your divisional round weekend, everybody, and I will see you guys on Monday.